guys, and welcome to my channel. My name is Abimbola. So if this is your first time on my channel or you've been here before but have never subscribed, can I please ask you to just click on the red subscribe button now and then click on the bell icon to turn your notification on so you are notified whenever I drop a new video. If you've already subscribed, it's good to see you again. Thank you guys. I saw this horrific story about an incident that happened in Awka Anambra state, and it made me wonder what is happening in some homes. I can't help but wonder what could push a man or a woman to take the life of their partner. This actually happened in Anambra state, and it's not fiction at all. So apparently this 31-year-old lady, whose name was Mrs. Rita was married to one Mr. Atansi for 2 months. They were just married for 2 months. She was unfortunately recently found dead in her home with deep cuts and bruises on her body after being absent from work for a couple of days. The police have now arrested this woman's husband, this Mr. Atansi, who is also popularly known as Agbada. So Agbada is his nickname. So the deceased younger brother, John Paul Onyebuchi, was interviewed by Punch, and he revealed what he believes must have happened. And I will just read his narrative to you. So Punch asked him, "You recently posted on Twitter how your sister was found dead in her house after failing to show up at work for 2 days. How did it happen?" "My sister and I work for the same company, a security firm in Awka Anambra state. She didn't come to work on Tuesday, March 24, 2020, and that had never happened before. She was always at work. She was a dedicated employee of the company, and because she was not at work, I called her on her mobile line. It rang but no one picked up. She never returned the calls, which was also unusual. After the day's work, I went to her place at Chima's compound in Ezi Mezi village and Anobia. When I got there, the house was locked and her husband's car was not in the compound. I knocked on the door several times, but there was no response. Later, I called her husband's mobile line, but it was switched off. That was on Wednesday, 25th March 2020. I went to work that day, but still didn't see my sister there. Meanwhile, she was always punctual at work. I called her several times again, but no one picked up." And then Punch asked him again, "You must have been worried." And his reply was, "Yes, I was really worried. Her husband's line was still switched off, but I could not go to her place that Wednesday because I left work very late. Incidentally, my mom said she had also been trying to reach her. She said she could not reach her and her husband on the phone. On Thursday, I went to her place before going to work. I saw a policeman in the compound and a crowd that gathered. A special crime unit of the police arrived, and I was taken inside to see my sister's dead body. The body has started to decompose, and there was a lot of blood. There was blood all over the bedroom, and the place was smelling. Because of the body that had started decomposing, I was shocked. But I couldn't tell my mom. My mom was also there to see why her daughter had not been reachable for some days. But I had to convince her to leave the compound because I didn't want her to see her daughter like that. I told her to return home and that the police were still trying to find her. I also didn't want my mother to know at that time because she was suffering from high blood pressure. Sadly, my sister was 2 months pregnant." What about her husband? He was arrested in the house on Thursday, March 26, 2020. He was arrested by the police from Central Police Station in Awka. They got married on January 10, 2020, less than 3 months before she was killed. "So where was your brother-in-law during the period that you didn't reach him and your sister?" That was Punch asking the question. And his reply was, "He was in the house. The neighbors saw him. It was the neighbors that alerted the police. All the while, he was in the house with the body as it was decomposing. He is the prime suspect and is at the State Criminal Investigation Department, Amobia Awka." Guys, I'm wondering if this man, this husband, is sane at all. I think he must have some problems. How can you be living in the same house with a decomposing body? Something is wrong with him. So let's carry on. And then Punch asked, "How many people have been arrested by the police in connection with the case?" 3 people, including my sister's husband and his sister. Something happened after he, brother-in-law, was arrested. The officer in charge at the state CID said members of his homicide department and members of our family would visit the crime scene to see if we could find more evidence. Meanwhile, the place was locked up by the police when Atansi was arrested, and the keys were handed over to the investigating police officer of the case at the Central Police Station. But surprisingly, the IPO gave the keys to Atansi, who then gave them to his sister. So by the time we got to the crime scene with the state CID's homicide team and a lawyer, we found out that the place had been cleaned up. Investigation showed that it was the IPO at the Central Police Station who gave the house keys to Atansi. Atansi gave the keys to his sister, who cleaned up the crime scene and removed the evidence in the house. She also took away my sister's mobile phone. So let's just reflect on that for a minute. Can you imagine the useless policemen we have in Nigeria? This stupid IPO must have taken a bribe from the husband. It is definite. He must have taken something from the husband or the family. So how could you give the keys to a crime scene to a murder suspect in your custody? This man should be investigated and severely dealt with. His actions may give the husband an escape route if truly he committed the crime. I'm not judging him now. I'm not saying he committed the crime, but all fingers, all hands, everything, legs, mouth, everything is pointing to him. So if he actually committed the crime, this action of this stupid IPO could give the husband an escape route, because the police may now have difficulty in finding enough evidence to convict this man. Anyway, let's carry on. The next question was, what is the situation now? So he answered, the case is still at the state CID, Awka, and the police are conducting their investigation very well. We went there on Wednesday. So the people in police custody are my sister's husband and the two people who cleaned up the crime scene. They were interrogated because of that action. Recently, we met with the Deputy Commissioner of Police and he told us they were making headway with the investigation, but he didn't disclose more than that. He told us that they were getting more witnesses and things were becoming clearer. Everything is now unfolding gradually. At the state CID, they told us that they had got everything they needed to nail the culprits and that what was left to be done was the autopsy. So I would like to commend them for their swift action. I'm really surprised that the policemen in Nigeria have done this, that they actually carried out some investigation. I hope they actually carried out some investigation truly, because we really can't trust Nigerian police. Anyway, let's carry on. In your post, you seem to be sure it was your brother-in-law that did it. Why? He was the one who opened the door for the police after the neighbors alerted the police. According to their neighbors, they saw him in the house during the period that we were looking for my sister. The neighbors could perceive the smell coming from her decomposed body, and he was in the house. They saw him at the backyard of the house. That was when they started knocking on the door. Initially, they thought there was no one at home. Her body had started to decompose. When they knocked on the door, he came to open the door for them and came out. That was when they called the police and he was arrested. Then I was called to come and identify the body. That convinced me that he had something to do with it. He was in the room with her, so he must have been the one who murdered her. Coupled with how his people tried to clean up the crime scene, he also switched off his mobile phone. And then the next question was there anyone living with them? No, nobody was living with them. Did the neighbors hear them fighting or quarreling before her dead body was found in the house? No, the neighbors said they never heard any noise in the house, and all the while that we were trying to reach my sister, his brother-in-law phone was switched off, while my sister's phone was switched on. But she didn't pick up. She was 2 months pregnant. After the neighbors called the police, they were able to get him there, so he was with the body all the while that we were having difficulty reaching my sister. What does he, brother-in-law, do? They say he sells land. He's a land agent. Did your sister ever tell you they were having any problems? No. She never reported anything, and he also never reported anything. I asked their neighbors, and they said they also did not know about any problems between them. How long were they together before they got married? They started dating in 2018, and this March made it 2 years that they knew each other. Could you tell how she died? She was strangled because her tongue was out, her face was bruised, and there was a lot of blood there. There were some deep cuts on her laps. I could see that blood came out of her ears. That is to show how terrible it was. My God. Guys, that was a horrible, horrible incident. Only God knows exactly what happened before she died. This is what I think. If the husband is guilty, he's likely to be a violent person, and it is not likely that that was his first time of being physically abusive to the wife. Even during courtship, he's likely to have displayed some traits of physical aggression, and the wife may just have overlooked those traits. I won't even be surprised if he had actually beaten her up during the courtship. I would just say that ladies have to be very vigilant during courtship. If a man appears to have traits of being abusive physically, you better run for your life. It's quite possible that some men will pretend and hide their violence, especially if the courtship is a very short one. And once the woman is in the marriage, they bring out their demonic part and turn the woman to a punchback. I personally will say if any woman unfortunately finds herself in such marriage, the earlier you run out of it, the better for you. Otherwise, if you don't die, you become maimed. You may lose an eye, you may lose both. You can even become deformed for life and become useless. You won't be useful to yourself, you won't be useful to anyone at all. And the man will eventually go and marry someone else. Even if you are a born again Christian, I will still say it. If your husband is abusive and your pastor tells you to hang in there because God does not like divorce, that pastor does not like you. The pastor will be the one to minister at your funeral eventually, because eventually the man will kill you. If the man does not kill you, you will be maimed. And by the time you are maimed, the pastor cannot help you. By the time you've been killed, the pastor will be the one to officiate, to minister at your funeral, and then he'll be giving excuses. This happens all the time. Sometimes some parents will be the ones who actually tell their daughters to endure. You will endure until your life is cut short. If your parents are telling you to endure, you need to make them realize that it's either they want you alive or they want you dead. They need to choose one, because your life is going to be cut short. If you are in an abusive relationship, run for your life. I personally will never advise anyone in a relationship with physical aggression to stay. But at the end of the day, it is your life and maybe your death eventually if you don't get out of that marriage. This man in this horrible incident, the man must have some problems. He must have some underlying problems. How can you be living in a house with a decomposed body? Even the neighbors could smell it, and somebody living in the house was able to stay there for 2 whole days with the smell that neighbors could not stand. I don't know. The man must be mad. They need to check his mental state. Something is wrong with him. Anyway, what am I even saying? That the man must be mad. If you are not mad, how can you murder your own wife, kill your own wife, beat her to death? Goodness gracious, I can't believe it. Anyway, guys, that's what I think, but you may agree or disagree with me. So let's trash it out in the comment section. Please don't forget to share this video with other people. It is an unfortunate incident, but we all need to learn from it. If you are a man, you have sisters, you have cousins, you have women around you, you need to let them know that an abusive relationship is not the way to go. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn your notification on. And I will see you soon. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye for now.